Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Council of the Whills. I'm Jen.
I'm Jane.
And I'm Amber, and welcome to the next episode of the Council of the Whills. As anyone who regularly listens to us knows, we took about a month hiatus, and that all pretty much boils down to me. I live in South Texas, and my hometown was right in the path of Hurricane Harvey. Luckily, I was on vacation, so nothing happened to me. All in all, there wasn't a whole lot of problems as far as me coming home. Everyone was safe and whatnot, but we were without power. We were without internet. And then just the cleanup took a lot of time, and I love talking about Star Wars, but at some point my real life had to come first, and so we took a little bit of a hiatus so I could deal with that, and I'm eternally grateful to Jen and Jane for understanding that. But yeah, with that being said, life is kind of back to normal here in Victoria, so yeah, we're starting this back up again, and we're going to do kind of a news-heavy episode because a lot has happened in the past month. So yeah, let's get started.
So we missed Force Friday, but that happened, and I now am the proud owner of 3 different porgs, and I'm going to be so sad if they end up being evil. But yeah, I basically could not help myself. I ended up with the talking porg from Target, the stuffed porg from the Disney store, and the posters. Thank you, Disney store. And the Funko Pop. Because apparently my ability to say no is shut up and take my money, Lucasfilm.
Now, when you say talking porg, what does it do? I haven't had an opportunity to really do any Force Friday shopping because my Target was closed down for so long.
Of course.
So tell me about this talking porg. What does it do?
It makes different sounds, dances, and let me see if I can put it on speaker so you can all hear. Did that come through?
It absolutely came through, and I want to cry. So cute.
It is, and it like moves its arms, and I didn't need it. And then I walked into Target, and I was like, oh, whoops.
So yeah, no, the porgs are so freaking cute. My hubby told me if I bring one more porg into this house, it's gonna go right back out of the house.
I want one so bad. I think I may like sneak off to Target pretty soon and go look for one.
They also have stuffed ones at Target that I don't know if they make sounds because I think I looked at them, but I'd already gotten one at the Disney store. Because what they were doing is they gave out the posters that were the red silhouettes.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah. And I really wanted them also because they say December 15th. And I'm like, that's my birthday. And I tried to get 2 of them because, since we recorded, I have also been accepted into the Rebel Legion as a Rey. Yay! And one of my fellow Rebel Legion members was messaging me, and I got him a porg too. And they're like, you can't get a second set of posters. I was like, damn it.
Aww.
Oh. That's unfortunate. I saw on Tumblr or Facebook or something people who were getting like giant like porg beanbag sort of things.
Oh yeah, that was if you went to Target at midnight, they were doing a raffle, and I considered going to my Target at midnight, set my alarm to like take a nap, wake up, be able to get dressed and go, and I was like, no, we're going back to bed. Apparently that's how much of an old lady I now am.
Force Friday was actually interesting for me. I have found that I had to have emergency root canal surgery that day. So I was really pissed and upset. And at first I was like, I'm only going to get a Kylo pop, a Rey pop, and a BB-9E. And that's it. That's all I'm getting. I came out of the mall with Kylo, Rey, Poe, Finn, a Porg, BB-9E, Rose, and Luke. And both of the books.
The Force was strong with you.
I was like, that was some retail therapy, but at least it was a good day for retail therapy.
Which reminds me, I ended up getting shipped the wrong pop because I ordered the Rey pop on from Hot Topic, and they sent me a really weird thing, and they should be sending me a new one.
What did they send you?
They sent me Nightmare Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's.
That's so
And it,
different
like,
than Ray.
well, and what's even better is I look at it, and okay, speaking of hurricanes, I look at it and I get it, and it's right as Harvey had passed, or no, Irma had just passed Puerto Rico. And so the guy who's getting this pop lives in Puerto Rico. So on one hand, I can see what happened. On the other hand, I'm like, oh God, I wish that guy got his pop.
Oh,
But
wow, and even now that's...
And now I'm like, oh, I really hope that guy has power and food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the merchandise I have is still just The Force Awakens. I'm really, really hoping to get shopping here pretty soon, but money, man, money.
Money.
No, I get you.
Yeah.
I did notice interesting things with the pops. I don't know if you guys saw, but Luke has a red kyber crystal on the pop around his neck. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So the rumor with that is that it's Darth Vader's kyber crystal, right?
That's what I've heard, and I've also heard another rumor that it's Kylo's kyber crystal. It's the one that's not cracked. So I don't know.
I like both theories, because if it's Vader's kyber crystal, that sounds very Luke. Like he would have taken that from the lightsaber and had it and, kept it around his neck because it's the reminder that there is good in people. Seems very Luke. And I like the Kylo one because to get the red kyber crystal, you have to take it from a Jedi, right?
I think they may have retconned that. I think it's just corrupting it, with the dark side.
Oh.
I could be wrong.
I think according to the Ahsoka book, that's what it says. They make the crystal bleed to make it red.
I don't know. I still like it would be, he took it from Kylo Ren, so then it turned red, and so it's a reminder of everything that's happened.
I think it unless Kylo Ren had a different saber and it turned red and it got left behind or got damaged in a duel with Luke, and that's why he has his janky saber now, because he had to grab an old one basically, and that's why Luke still has his crystal. I like that a lot.
But that also makes that saber belongs to me really interesting, because unless Kylo exactly knows what Anakin/Luke's saber looked like that had to have been shown to him at some point. And how would he have seen it?
Wasn't it in one of the VR games that came out around shortly after The Force Awakens, where it shows Luke giving Kylo the Anakin's lightsaber? I could have sworn I saw that somewhere, and that it was just a flash in one of the VR games.
That sounds awesome. I also recall someone talking about either a deleted scene or maybe from a comic of some sort where it showed Maz Kanata stealing Anakin's saber from Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
I would love that, and I would love Maz Kanata to have done that.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing: is I absolutely think that Ben Solo, at the very least, had to have the saber at some point, because Han sees the saber with Maz and says, "Where did you get that?" And considering that Han was frozen in carbonite when that lightsaber disappeared, and I don't think he would care that much about Luke's saber himself, I think he would have had to have seen it already, and with his son.
The scene you're talking about where Maz takes the saber from Kylo, that was in the original draft of Rey's Forceback from The Force Awakens, because originally, before it became what we see in the film, it was going to be essentially the life story of the saber, and that includes Maz taking it.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So it's a draft, but still potentially an idea they haven't explored fully.
Yeah.
So not canon, but the idea is there.
Yeah. I call it canon light, basically.
I like it. I guess anything in the books could technically be considered canon light as well, because it enhances canon, but it could easily be contradicted.
Well, the books are, I mean, everything in the books is run through the storybook. Everything. To make sure that everything in
True.
the book contradicts the movies. And I think, but even Pablo has said that if there ever is a contradiction with the movies reign supreme.
Yeah. Well, because I remember someone talking about how when Claudia Gray established the timeline and bloodline, people were like, "Oh, well, yes, that's what we're doing now."
Yeah.
But and the thing with Bloodline in that timeline is you don't see everything in the very short flashback in The Force Awakens, and I think everybody sort of really wanted the idea that it was a small child that left, and everybody like fandom and fanboys and like people going through, but the idea that it was like a Kylo was basically, fresh out of college and decided to do this thing, they're like, oh my God, that's like a real person. And considering one of my new coworkers who's 27 and can't put a dish in the goddamn sink at work, no, he's not a real person.
Well, and the thing is I think before Bloodline came out, everyone assumed that he turned when he was like a kid. Like they tried to place his turning at the same time as Rey being left on Jakku in order to create the Skywalker solo narrative for Rey's parentage. So everyone placed him at turning at 15, 14 or 15. And when it came out that he turned at 23, everyone is like, wait a second. How would that
But
work with Rey? Why would she have been... That doesn't make sense. Why would Luke have dropped her off? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't him. How did we get talking about books?
Oh, it's because we were talking about Force Friday merch. Oh, the other thing that they actually dropped that I don't know if any of you saw, but just so everybody is also aware, on Force Friday they officially revealed both a version in Disneyland and all the Disney parks, and that you can buy as a Black Series a Rey lightsaber.
I think I saw that.
Hmm. And here's the interesting thing. So the Disneyland one, which is the same price as the Hasbro Black Series, if you can get, well, Disneyland, Disney World, if you can get to either Orlando or Anaheim, it's not, it is in the parks, but it's also, I believe, outside the parks. Feel free to fact check where it will be. Um, that one is a removable blade and has Rey in her new Last Jedi costume. Whereas the Hasbro one, if you look at it, has Rey much more in her Force Awakens outfit and is very much talking about the Force Awakens and is copyrighted 2015.
Gotcha.
That's
So it looks,
interesting.
yeah, so it looks like they've had this Rey Hasbro Black Series lightsaber for a while, but they held it back bringing it out until now.
Hasn't the marketing though pretty much confirmed that the saber, it's not Anakin's saber anymore. It's Rey's saber.
Oh no. Here's the other fun thing. Get a Hasbro Black Series of all three of these, and they're all different lightsabers. The Anakin, the Luke, and the Rey, they're all different.
Now, do you mean
God,
stylistically or labeled differently?
stylistically. So Anakin's is a darker metal. It's actually visibly darker than all of them. And then you get
That
Luke's,
makes
which is,
sense.
yeah. And then you get Luke's, which is shiny and everything, and you're like, okay, that's cool. And then you get Rey's, and she has the bolts at the bottom, and neither of the other two, I believe, have the bolts at the bottom.
That's
And
interesting. If it was meant to be the same saber, why wouldn't they standardize the mold?
And
because
it's all Hasbro, right?
it's all
Yeah,
Hasbro. I
Huh.
didn't realize this until I was holding a hilt from the Hasbro Luke Skywalker A New Hope with my fully Rey Disney saber and being like, oh, they're different.
That is interesting. I wonder if Rey, because she like likes to tinker so much, if she modified the lightsaber or will modify the lightsaber.
well, um, another part of Force Friday, I suppose, is, and now I know this isn't, I know this has really no basis on what the actual story is, but do you remember the link I shared you guys with the Rey staff blade builders?
Yes.
Yeah.
where it's Rey's staff, but it has a place where you can put in a lightsaber, and it was advertised with a purple blade. Now, I know that's not a spoiler or canon or anything like that, because they have some wacky, like, setups for blade builders, but the thing that really gets me is that they specifically released the staff as Rey's staff and made it accessible to put blades in the end, which feels like something. It's a weird thing to advertise if it's not something that's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, and having like sat through discussions in cosplay communities, it's very much people look at the staff and be like, why is it like this? Why do we have these weird like end pieces? And it makes more sense because she does use her staff, and as we've seen in the behind the scenes reel, she's still using her staff to do things, and the saber. So it's more natural for her, and I feel like I do hope that at some point it's like, okay, you need to build your own saber, and she's like, well, I actually think that I need this piece of weaponry because I'm more comfortable with it.
And that's one of the things I'm wondering about is maybe if the reason we see like a difference between like Rey's version of the saber compared to like Anakin and Luke is that she has modified the saber to go on her staff because she is so familiar with staff fighting, and fighting with the saber is one thing, but fighting with the staff is something just knows.
Yeah.
Because it is strange that if it's meant to be the same saber, that the design is different. I can understand a difference in color between Anakin and Luke. An actual design element different is strange.
I would say yes, that's the case, but the rivets are in the Hasbro one too, where it's all of her as Force Awakens. I mean, I have to double check on the pictures, but I think both of them have the rivets, and it's like, wait, what? That's weird. Why are you adding them now?
Well, maybe that's why they held it back. Maybe they had that design, and then they were like, whoa, hold up, we can't have that in the Force Awakens. Like that's a The Last Jedi kind of reveal.
True.
Yeah.
And maybe like because you have to modify it until you can get yours, and so she makes it better. Like she makes it more functional.
Yeah, like maybe I mean, there's a lot of reasons she could modify it. I would hope that if that's what's going to happen, we get a scene where she actually modifies it instead of just it existing in the props.
Well, that's another piece of news that was released recently is The Last Jedi is going to be 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Good.
Yes.
Running time, which makes it the longest Star Wars film ever.
Good.
I don't know what
I mean, I've been sitting through a lot of 2.5-hour movies lately. I sat through It, which was 2.5 hours. I sat through Kingsman, which is 2.5 hours. I can sit through 2.5 hours for Star Wars.
Easily.
I'll wear a diaper. I won't, but I missed the Force back the first time I saw The Force Awakens because I went to pee. And when I came back, I was like, what happened? And my boyfriend was like, she touched the saber and had some weird visions, and now she's running away. And I'm like, what's that? What? So, naturally, I had to go watch it again 10 times and make sure I caught it all that time.
Before every Star Wars movie, make sure I go to the bathroom.
Yep.
I'm just like, nope, we're going this entire time.
Oh, I don't get movie theater drinks because of it for Star Wars. I'm like, I'm not getting up. No, once I sit, I'm sat. Not getting up.
Maybe the third time I'll be like, all right, I can get drinks because I know when the breaks are. I know when I'm like, man, I can miss this.
Yeah, I'm glad it's going to be hours long. I really am, because there's so much that was set up, and like that, it needs time to have it explored. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And I think that what is also going to be in this 2.5 hours is that they are going to flesh out. I'm like, I don't want to call them A and B plots. We're going to have the Jedi plot, which is going to be Luke and Rey and potentially Kylo Ren and all this stuff. And then we're going to have the Resistance plot, which is going to be Finn and Rose and Poe and Phasma and like all this other stuff. And I'm glad that it sounds like if it's going to be that long, we're going to flesh out both plots and they're going to kind of be running simultaneously. As opposed
and then it seems like it convenes. Like, just based on what we've seen, it looks like it convenes on Crate somewhere.
Yes.
I mean,
convenes? Is that the word? Combines? Yeah. It combines on Crate? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have, Rey in her new outfit dancing with, or Daisy in her new outfit dancing with John in his outfit in the behind the scenes.
And we can see that Leia's on crate.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it just seems like some people from the Jedi plot and people from the Resistance plot are both on crate. And that has all the makings of, like, the big climactic final battle of the movie, from what I can tell. So I'm just wondering if we have our two plots running parallel the entire time, and then we get to crate, and suddenly everything mashes up together.
I mean, that's what
I think. Yeah, but that's also where people are kind of going. I like the idea of kind of comparing it to Empire, and that's okay. Mini rant. I get where people are like, "Oh my God, The Force Awakens is a New Hope," and it does make sense. And I will sit there and I will be like, I will get when people say The Last Jedi is Empire, and I get where people are going to sit there and be like, 9 is Return of the Jedi. You want to know why? Because it's the goddamn hero cycle. Rey needs to go through her goddamn hero cycle. So, yes, you are going to see the same plot points. You are going to see the same things over and over again. Yeah, okay, they reused some of the stuff. They reused, like, okay, Star Killer is the Death Star, and we're going to reuse all that stuff, and fine. But the problem is you're using an archetype people know. And when you go sit in a psychology class and or get told about the creation myth and the hero cycle, they bring up Luke Skywalker, they bring up Star Wars and say, this is it. This is what you need for the hero cycle. This is every single point met and matched. Here it is. Go. So, yeah, it's going to be compared to the original trilogy because Rey is going on her hero's journey. And
yeah, and I mean, Luke Skywalker is basically the prototype for the hero's journey in the modern age.
Yep.
Exactly. You know what's coming. You all know.
Yeah, and I do think that there is something to be said for taking the hero's journey and kind of turning it on the trope, turning the tropes a little bit. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, she starts out as a nobody and she has to end up saving the galaxy or becoming evil. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's something that's coming.
Plot twist, Rey's the new emperor.
People just like to watch.
God, I hope.
Like they complain, oh well, it's too different. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. That's what they complained about in the prequels. And then okay, they went back to the heroic journey and made it feel like Star Wars again. And people complained, oh, it's too similar to the original trilogy, so you can't have it both ways. Pick one. Pick one. Either you want to be different or you want to continue the hero's journey with a new hero.
And another thing about the length of the movie is that Rian Johnson also has to pick up all of the plot threads that JJ started, and he has to continue with those threads, wrap some of them up, and build his own to continue into episode 9. And so it's got to be a long movie because he has the biggest workload, I think, out of the 3 movies, in the sense that he has to continue threads, he has to start threads, he has to wrap up threads. Meanwhile, JJ comes in on the back end and all he has to do is wrap stuff up. So I think it makes sense that it's going to be a long movie, and I'm glad for it because I love Star Wars. I would sit through a 4-hour movie if someone said that's the only way we can do it. I'd say cool, let's do it.
Peter Jackson this shit.
I will sit through the extended cut, all right?
Well, no, the original cut of the first cut of The Force Awakens was close to 3 hours, or I think even beyond 3 hours. And
I'd watch it.
Same here. And one of the things that I think the impact is lost in the film, but it's made up for in the novelization, is the politics. Because it doesn't really explain the state of the galaxy. You don't really know who the New Republic is, or the significance of Hosnian Prime getting blown up, or why, like, the camera zooms in on Corsella's face in particular. All of that's lost in the movie, but if he made it 3 hours, it would have been more time to explain the politics.
It gives you an idea of, I mean, that's, to be fair, all of Star Wars, no matter how actiony or how hero's journey it is, it is a political thriller as well. And you start off with Leia being like, I am a diplomat. I am on a mission. Ugh. And Vader just saying, you're lying. And now that we have Rogue One, we know, yes, she is a lying liar who lies. Right there. But like the Star Wars has kind of always been like the political thriller where you have this princess who's also a senator who's trying to save the galaxy, leading this resistance and doing all this stuff. And I think I want to go back and rewatch the prequels with that notion that it's this political thriller about Padme and Anakin and how they're going to get together, but also how the galaxy is falling apart around them.
Dude, the prequels are like almost all politics.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
It's awesome. I love that.
Which leads credence to like, yeah, it's all politics. Every single movie is politics. Because George Lucas he helped write the originals. And then wrote the prequels. So that was the movie he wanted to make. He wanted to make a political thriller in space.
Well, and then the other thing about it is Star Wars ends up becoming like a cautionary tale because you can sit there and you can watch how this guy that seemed totally chill ends up suddenly gaining power because of military action and then suddenly he's in charge of the whole Senate and suddenly he's emperor of the whole damn galaxy and you're like, wait 1 minute. How?
Like your voice in there becomes Padme. She's like, this is how democracy dies. And you're watching like, yeah, I believe you, sister. High five. Oh, I don't know how to fix this.
It's very true. Well, that scene was specifically taken from the Patriot Act. That was when the Patriot Act was signed. And that was George Lucas. He has a lot to say politically. You know what I mean? He has a message that he's trying to convey. That one person should not have this much power. And given the politics at the time, after 9/11 and all that fun stuff, or not so fun stuff, it was a great venue for that message to reach a wider audience.
I never thought of it that way. Because I know Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005.
Yes.
When did Attack of the Clones come out?
2002, I think.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been enough time to react to anything in 2001, though. Also, they would have filmed everything by the time that had happened.
I mean, technically, yes. There's always a chance that they could have just had Natalie come in and add that line. Like, it may have been something that they already saw happening.
That's true. But isn't that line in... I thought that line was in Revenge of the Sith, not Attack of the Clones.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, the Patriot Act was signed in 2001. Phantom Menace came out in 99, if I remember correctly. And I know that between Phantom and Attack of the Clones, they did not have a lot of time to film. It had to be filmed very, 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 very quickly. So I think they were just focused on getting the movie out. Whereas there was, I think, a 3-year gap. Yeah, 3 years between Clones and Sith. So it was more time to actually flesh out, what George was actually trying to say.
I don't know how we got on this topic, but yeah.
I think we just sort of went through everything as we do. We did mention that JJ is going to come back for episode 9.
Yes, that is a thing that I mentioned. So with Colin Trevorrow getting the axe from episode 9, that obviously left a pretty gaping hole in what might happen with the series. And I know a lot of people were really rooting for Ryan to come back because I feel like everyone's kind of connected to him in the sense of understanding that he's kind of like... Ryan just seems to get Star Wars, in my opinion. Now, I know JJ is a big fan, and so I don't want to, take away his contributions to it or his love for it, but I think Ryan brought a lot more interesting ideas to the table, whereas JJ was like, let's make a Star Wars movie in particular.
Yes, and I always see my hand gestures in my face because I think JJ was presented this opportunity to reboot the series that he's loved so much and have to reclaim it from the prequels in a sense. And so he made a Star Wars movie that he thought people would want to see, which was an original trilogy Star Wars movie. And it's done very well, and it has his own spin on it, and it's very good. And I think with Rian Johnson, he's much more personable. He goes out to lines and talks to fans. He is like, this is my Instagram, and here are my black and white pictures of the set. He is sitting there saying, I was brought into the writer's room of The Force Awakens so I could have my mark on this. He's been almost much more open about the fact that he's working on a Star Wars film and that he's putting his mark on a Star Wars film than JJ ever could be. Because JJ kind of had to say, yes, I'm doing a Star Wars movie, and that was it. I think they realized they can market Rian Johnson as, you know, okay, you're not doing the Star Wars movie to reboot the series. You are doing the Star Wars movie following the reboot of the series.
I think also it counts a lot that Rian Johnson is the only director who hasn't had problems with Kathleen Kennedy.
True.
I mean, JJ had problems with her, Lord Miller had problems with her, Gareth Edwards had problems with her, Colin Trevorrow had problems with her. And I'm not saying Kathleen Kennedy, I'm trying to make sure I word this correctly. I get why she's being the way she is, because it's the biggest movie franchise ever of all time. And if it's bad, she's going to get blamed. If it doesn't make money, she's going to get blamed. And people don't really seem to understand that she has a whole board of directors that she's accountable for or accountable to. And until they make their money back of the $4 billion purchase, Lucasfilm really can't afford to have like a stinker of a Star Wars movie. Not yet. You know what I mean? So I get why she's being so iron-fisted.
They broke ground on Star Wars Land. They have to make it good, or people won't go to Star Wars Land.
I mean, let's be real. I think at this point, Star Wars can literally, like, make the Christmas special the movie, and it would not affect Star Wars stock at all.
True.
Yeah. No, you're right. No matter how much people complain about the prequels, we still pay and see them, we still buy them, and we still buy the toys.
You know what's really funny to me? I had this thought earlier because I was in a conversation with some people that were just adamant about elements of the EU being brought in and people complaining about the EU getting the axe. And it made me laugh because I realized that these EU fanboys like to complain about the fact that the EU got axed, but don't realize that they're the reason the EU got axed. Because they think that the EU is superior, and they think they're superior for having read it. That if Lucasfilm tried to do a straight adaptation of the EU, these fanboys would straight up ruin everything for everyone. They would be like, oh, well,
that's not Mara Jade. That's not my Mara Jade.
So
yeah, nobody would be a good enough Mara Jade. Yeah. And also, here's the other problem is, I think the EU really relies on those stories that were told in between, that were told after Return of the Jedi, and the cast was just too old to really tell those stories.
Yeah.
You know, because how are you going to do a story about Luke and Mara Jade with Mark Hamill as old as he is? Like, if they really wanted to do the EU, they should have bumped up on it instead of the prequels. Because the prequels, you could have cast anybody. It didn't matter. If they really wanted to tell the stories from the EU, they should have done the sequel trilogy first. And they didn't. So,
if they really wanted to do the EU, they should have been doing the sequel trilogy in the 90s.
Yeah.
Hands down. And then in 99, they could have still done Phantom Menace. Because it's like, okay, you've seen the end of the Skywalkers, or whatever George Lucas wanted to say, not saying that 9 is going to end with the end of the Skywalkers.
Now, and here's the thing, is I do think that narratively we needed to see Anakin becoming Vader before we saw what happened with Luke's aftermath. I think those 6 stories together are what really bound the original trilogy together, in the sense that, you know, you saw this sacrifice from Vader at the end of Jedi, or Return of the Jedi. I have to get used to saying that now. And so it was nice that the next thing we saw was actually understanding who Anakin was and how he became Vader. But I don't know. I think now is the right time to do the sequel trilogy, and I think it was right to completely axe the EU.
It was. Well, the EU,
Uh,
there was no standard. It was so disjointed. There was no, like, this is canon, this is not canon, this is going to be the direction we're going to in. Even Claudia Gray, she was given strict parameters in Bloodline. Like, Han cannot be in this, even though she thought that. Luke cannot be in this. Ben cannot be in this. It has to be set in this time period. Things were consistent. It felt like the same universe. With the EU, I've read some of it. I haven't read all of it, but it's so disjointed depending on the author. And some authors were really good, and some authors were not so good. Some storylines were like really interesting and kept you invested, and others were just kind of, is it over yet?
I I mean, like my only foray into the EU Young Jedi books, where it's Jason and Jaina Solo as like they're going to Luke's school and Anakin Solo wanting to follow them. And every single time, my first reaction was, why the hell did Leia, I'm gonna hold a grudge until my dying breath, Organa, name her child Anakin? Like, I could never get past that. Even as a 10-year-old who was like, I just know this, Leia would never name a child Anakin. She
Well,
wouldn't
at
know
least
how
she
to
didn't name
feel.
her son Ben.
But Ben was her only hope. Da, da, da.
Look, you ain't wrong, and I love that poetry, but at the same time, I'm like, come on, man. You didn't know
I,
that dude. He was just a crazy old guy.
Yeah.
yeah, but I could also be like, Obi-Wan Organa Solo. Nah, Ben Organa Solo. Mm, there it is. Um, but yeah, that was one of the pieces of the EU that I could never get over. Like, even 10-year-old me would rant to my parents of like, Leia would never name her child Anakin, and my dad's like, nice child, good child. I'm sorry, like I let her watch Star Wars.
So, speaking of books, a lot of new books are coming out for, Journey to the Last Jedi. None of us have read the Phasma book yet, even though we kind of know what goes on it. But we do have someone who's read Leia, Princess of Alderaan. So, take it away.
It's so good.
There are going to be spoilers all over the place. Turn back now, or forever hold your peace.
So, Leia, Princess of Alderaan, it's the third book that Claudia Gray has written in the Star Wars universe, and like the other two books, Lost Stars and Bloodline, it's so good. Like, it's so good. It hooked me from the beginning, and normally I was kind of skeptical because like, it's a YA. YA generally isn't my shtick, but she was so good with Lost Stars, and I love Leia, so I was like, just read it. Read it before I read the Phasma book. And it's a really a coming of age story about Leia. And basically the meat and potatoes of it is that Leia has to do these challenges to inherit the throne of Alderaan. And Leia, being who Leia is, she makes mistakes, she makes right choices, and she inadvertently discovers that her parents are in on the rebellion. It has a lot to do with the very early days of the rebellion, how they got organized, how they were financed, how Bail and Breya didn't really get caught, even though they almost got caught. And that's definitely talked about and played up in this book. Leia has a couple run-ins with Tarkin, and it's pretty interesting because she definitely proves to Tarkin what a great liar and manipulator she is. And it was really wonderful to read the interaction between Leia and Tarkin, and it plays into their confrontation in Episode 4 when he knows that she's lying. She's lied to him before. Leia does have her first romance with a boy named Kier, and it's cute and it's sweet. And even though I originally didn't like it, because Leia, she's with Han, but it was really just sweet and very much like, your first crush when you're 16 years old. It was just very sweet and happened very naturally. I liked it. Spoiler alert, again, to say it again, Kier dies. And I was really, really sad when he died. I'm like, no, but you were just so cute. I just was getting to like you. Don't die.
Everyone Leia loves dies.
Exactly. let's see, what else? What else? Oh, when Leia and her mother Brea are talking, Brea makes a little offhanded comment about how she always imagined her daughter would end up with a scoundrel, and I thought that was a nice little like wink, wink, nod, nod to Han. And Leia almost inadvertently hires Han, which I thought was really, really funny. When she's,
Wait,
huh?
please go and explain. I've had it. I've taken this book with me multiple places. I have not started this book yet. I plan to start it Friday on a 10-hour plane ride. But explain the Han. I want to know.
So,
My tiny shipper heart wants to know.
so at the not the like the end, but like the last act of the book, Leia learns that Tarkin knows about her parents' involvement and is planning to like ambush their base. And I don't remember the planet name. It's a new planet. And yeah, I can't remember it off the top of my head. But anyway, so Leia has to run off, and she's doing this with with credits, and that can't be traced, so that she can't be nothing can be linked back to her parents or her. And she's looking for like the most low key freighter to get her to the planet, and it comments on a Corellian like YT. Yeah, Corellian 1300 YT model freighter, and she comments on how it looks like a piece of rundown junk, and it could really use the credits to have it working again. And it's like, oh, that's Han's ship. That's actually pretty funny.
Hashtag Millennium Falcon junk since Leia was a teenager.
Exactly. And it really got you
Well,
thinking of like, what if? What if she'd hired him?
here's an interesting part because I know that this is billed as a road to the Last Jedi, and we'll get into that in a second as to other characters that are introduced in this book. But that sort of pops out at me like, all right, so Han Solo already kind of has a reputation by the time Leia is trying to do this. I wonder if we're going to see that in the Han Solo movie.
It's like
Well, how old is Leia in this book?
16 when it starts, and she's close to 17 when it ends.
That's like two
Uh,
years
y-
before A New Hope.
Yes.
Actually,
yeah,
that doesn't.
and it's
Yeah,
after the Han Solo movie, so because it's that hit the Han Solo movie is 18 to 25, so I don't know how much they would really bring into it. If anything, I think it would just kind of establish how he gets so well known to where, he's mentioned in that capacity in the book.
I don't know. That would be kind of an interesting end to the Han Solo movie. This, the Princess of Alderaan would like you to do a run for her, and him being like, "No, I don't need to do it."
Well,
Princesses? Ugh.
they're 9 years apart. So if Han's 25, Leia would be 14. No,
14, but they can budget. They're telling us 25, when in reality they mean 27, almost 28.
Maybe there's an epilogue.
Dear Ron Howard.
Jesus.
Yeah. So in Leia, do any of the new characters that show up in The Last Jedi get announced?
Yes. So you get to meet Emmeline Holdo, and she was not what I was expecting. A lot of the reports from making Star Wars and Star Wars Newsnet really cast the picture that Emmeline and Leia are at odds, so there's all this big tension between them in The Last Jedi, which could be the case because you don't really know anything would happen or know what happened to Emmeline and Leia's relationship after the Big Vader reveal. No one knows about that. But in the book, Emmeline and Leia are friends. Um, Holdo is pretty much like Luna Lovegood in space. She's like airheaded and but philosophical at the same time. She's really, really sweet. Her interactions with Leia are really cute because Leia is so practical and a little angry, and Leia's just let it all go. Let it be free. Let your mind meditate. Meditate doing like space yoga acrobatics. Yeah, she's really sweet and really, really cute. And one of the interesting things is part of the reason why she has like the crazy hair colors is she dyes her hair to protest her planet Gadalenta, is how I remember it being pronounced, Gadalenta. And she does it to protest Gatalenta's like peacefulness because Emmeline wants basically to get in on the rebellion. She doesn't like how her planet is just standing idly by. So she does what she can, and she dyes her hair these really outrageous colors and wears frills and feathers and lace to just, stand out and rebel in the way that she knows how.
That's very interesting because that means that her planet is still peaceful well into the sequel trilogy because she has the pretty dusty pink hair.
Well, actually, that's really interesting because does she keep dyeing her hair because it's expected of her? Or does she dye her hair because she wants to now?
Or like maybe she just kind of grows into like, you know what? I'm the chick with the crazy hair. That's who I am.
Maybe there's elections on her planet, or votes on her planet, not elections. Votes saying what color should Amy Lynn's hair be?
Yeah, that would actually.
And it's like, I would actually think that would be really interesting if they sort of make her hair color a political scale. Like, what do we want from you going out to the galaxy? Do we want you to be peaceful? Do we want you to be like militant? Do we want you to do this? Do you want to do that? And so she comes in with pink hair, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's so soft." Where pink really means like kill the First Order.
Well, no, but aren't we told that she wants to join the First Order? Like, create a like an alliance with them? I thought that was something they said was going to be part of her arc in this one.
That's what I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
In the book, like Emmeline is very, she's against tyranny and she's against what the Empire stands for. So but you also don't know what happened to her and Leia's relationship after the Vader reveal in Bloodline. And I can't help but think that is going to play a part in the schism, if there is a schism between Holdo and Leia.
Well, imagine if Holdo and Leia stay friends and stay close. She's there when Leia comes back from, Return of the Jedi and says, "I have a twin brother." She's there when Leia says, "I'm pregnant." She's there when, after Leia signs the treaty and gives birth to Ben, she's there seeing Ben grow up. Like, I wonder how much of this is she's not okay with whatever is going on, but she also is seeing blood went out with this child.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, she's meeting Emmeline and seeing their relationship when they were teenagers. Like, it's really interesting and kind of because it contradicts all the information that we've been given about Emmeline and what her angle is. So I don't know, because I remember them being, I think it was making Star Wars. I think. I'm reaching back here a little bit, but I think it was making Star Wars who said that there's a line in The Last Jedi where Holdo and Leia are fighting essentially to not so much take control, but who is going to have control over the Resistance. And Holdo basically says, "Well, I don't trust the daughter of Darth Vader."
Oh.
I would be so into that because I don't know, like as the person that grew up reading the EU, but in like the Young Jedi books, that was the part that I could never understand how people are still like, okay, yeah, Leia's okay, but like she's still Anakin's daughter. Like you know what's going on, and I wonder if Amy Lynn would see the potential. And all we know so far from Laura Dern is that she shoots a blaster, ends up going pew, pew in the takes because that's all she said. She's like, "I shoot a blaster. I say pew, pew," and they had to edit that out. It's like all we know.
I don't know. I have a crackpot theory. This is just crackpot theory, and I won't go too far into this because I know we're doing like our Last Jedi, what's going to happen. But I do think that when Dakar is being evacuated, because it has to be evacuated, she's going to be the one, or Admiral Holdo is going to be the one to bring in reinforcements to make sure that Dakar and everyone on Dakar can actually get out safely.
I wonder if since she's an admiral, if she brings in a
Vice
ship
Admiral.
Vice Admiral. Okay, what's the difference between an admiral and a vice admiral?
Same as a president and a vice president.
Is she vice admiral's vice admiral? It's been a long day, and
no,
I have
that's
a new.
Fine.
Is she a vice admiral to Admiral Akbar?
I mean, maybe. Maybe they're dating.
Well, I mean, she
The
does.
Mon Calamari have very sensual swimming.
Ugh.
Well, she does say she finds just humanoid males to be awful limiting, and I thought that was really cute in the book. It's like,
I I've seen that quote, and I think that that's really interesting. That Claudia Gray has basically said, like, I find humanoid males limiting, and it very much opens up Amy Lynn for literally anything.
Yeah.
She's like, I find anything attractive.
Do you think she would find Snoke attractive?
No, nobody finds Snoke attractive.
oh God, I could rant about that one, but I'm not going to.
I like how I say nobody finds Snoke attractive, and somebody on the internet would be like, well, but I find his voice this.
Well, that's not fair. That's Andy Serkis. Everyone finds Andy Serkis's voice attractive.
That's true.
Fair point.
What's coffee, precious?
I do like Amy Lynn, and I think that she's a very interesting character going forward. We might see more of her because, Mark Hamill tweeted saying, I think you should watch Monday Night Football on October 9th, just for reasons.
No real reason.
Absolutely no reason at all.
I mean, the Force Awakens trailer dropped during Monday Night Football, but that's relevant.
I think that's literally the worst place you could drop it.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a sports person, but most people I know are sports people and they watch Monday Night Football.
Well, yeah, but you need ESPN. Like you're dropping it on you're just dropping it on a channel that people can't really watch it,
I get why, because ESPN is one of the Disney brands, and they are trying to revitalize it in a way that makes sense to them, because I think they bought ESPN Disney and was like, this is going to be great, and then didn't realize that they bought it and sort of sports went to streaming, so they're not sure what to do.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess they figure, like, hey, we can get a bunch of ratings if all the nerds actually watch football today.
I mean, if it was like Pokemon Go being streamed or like competitive Overwatch, then all the nerds would watch it, but, I mean...
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird to me.
Personal thing, I don't understand football. My mother stopped my dad from explaining football to me, and because, in quote her words, so I could go to high school football games and meet a nice boy. Spoiler alert, did not work. Still looking for a nice boy. But
you're not going to find a nice boy at a high school football game.
No, you're not. But I still don't understand football. I don't see the appeal of watching football on TV, so I will maybe have it on the background of doing things and be like, ooh, commercial, is there a Star Wars trailer? And then I'll flip back. So I don't know how Nielsen ratings work. Does it match if I watch for 5 seconds, or does it match if I watch for the entire game?
Technically, you'd have to have a Nielsen box in order to really gauge it. I think they're just... Because basically they send Nielsen box out to, like, various people in the world, and then they just kind of multiply, what people are watching by the population of the United States. But with things like NFL Red Zone and NFL Mobile, you get to see a lot more, what's the word?
Content?
Well, you get a lot more information about your viewership, because,
to be fair,
like, NFL Mobile...
I disabled that on my phone.
Oh, I'm a pretty big football fan, so...
I just don't get it, and I get a lot of people get it, and I very much get that it's a very big thing. I've never gotten it.
Yeah, I mean, I like, grew up with it, and it was an interest, so, like, it's something I like. I'm in 2 fantasy football leagues, like...
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to be watching Monday anyway, but...
I do like that aspect. I like the idea of, like, fans being together and, like, the tailgates and the fantasy football leagues, and I like all this stuff, but I've tried to watch football games. I'm like, I don't understand the rules. I don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah, it's complicated. But yeah, the trailer, I mean, it makes sense that Disney, ABC, whatnot, is trying to kind of revitalize the ESPN channel, because right now they're kind of so desperate. They're airing World Series of Poker. I mean,
I
yeah,
made a
like
case.
ESPN really isn't doing a whole lot anymore, so I can understand why they'd want to pump up the viewership by doing something kind of exclusive on that channel. Sucks. I hate that.
Well,
Let me
and
see who's playing on that day.
while you're looking at that, we all know within 5 minutes that's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, I am going to be having my phone on that night to chirp in my ear, and if I have a roommate at this work conference in my hotel room, be like, "Sorry, I need to wake up." Uh, I don't know how. I mean, Germany is 9 hours ahead. I don't know. I'm going by West Coast time, but I will watch this trailer the second that I can.
Oh my god. Okay, so
Oh, you're laughing. That makes it so much better. Is it the Niners, the 49ers, or the Raiders? Please tell me it's the 49ers or the Raiders, please.
it's not. It's even better.
Oh,
It's
good.
the Vikings and the Bears.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about football, but I know the Bears are like, oh, honey,
yeah,
no.
yeah. They're pretty bad. Um, so now it's really feeling like this is more political to actually get people to watch that particular game.
I mean, Minnesota's a good team, right?
Eh, they have their
Okay,
moments.
I
But
really
like
don't
any
know.
game against the Bears, people aren't going to watch because they know the Bears are going to get decimated to begin with.
I know one person that will watch any game with the Bears playing because he is a Bears fan, and I
Well,
apologize to him every time I see him.
yep, that's pretty tragic.
Everything you guys are saying is going straight over my head. I know jack crap about sports.
Okay, so think of the Bears as the stormtroopers in the original trilogy. They're pretty, they do things, but they get jack shit done.
Gotcha.
And they can't connect
They,
to save their
they,
lives.
yeah, they can't score or hit a target.
So it's
Yeah.
like the Chudley cannons from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I am so sorry to every single Bears fan out there. I applaud you, and I'm glad for your dedication. And I know a
Uh,
Bears fan out there.
I am a Green Bay Packers fan, so to all the Bears fans, I can say, suck it. I
Um,
mean, JK viewers, listeners, readers. Let's get back to let's get back to actually talking about things. So yeah, what do you guys think we may see from a Star Wars trailer, especially one that's coming out so much later than the trailers typically come out? And what do you think the reason for delaying the trailer so long is?
I would say lots of X-wing montages and ships blowing up. I don't really think we're getting much of anything in terms of story. I think it's going to be a lot of really interesting visuals to get you interested. It'll probably have some cool voiceover dialogue, but I don't. With Ryan Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy and everyone who's claimed that they've seen a rough cut of the movie, so that everyone says unanimously, you don't want to see it. You don't want to know anything about it. You just want to watch the movie. So I don't think we're really going to get much in terms of story or plot.
I have a feeling that part of the delay of the trailer, like a very small part, was how much do we show of Carrie? How much do we show of her involvement in this movie, and how big do we make her part seem? Because this is her last Star Wars. No matter what we do with episode 9, no matter what we do with rewrites, this is her movie. Even if it is Luke's movie, it is Carrie's movie. So I wonder how much of it is how do we show this movie in a trailer with showing her playing a pivotal role without her showing a pivotal role if they decided to edit it that way.
That makes sense.
And I wonder how much is I can't show you anything because it will give away plot points. Speaking as
Uh,
somebody who is in like Ray costuming communities, we're arguing over how many loops are on the back of her belt.
oh my God,
Not on
I
the back of her
saw
belt.
that
The
on the
back of
boots.
her boots. The back of her boots. Like, is it 4 or is it 5? And you're arguing over that. Like,
Yeah, no,
come
I
on,
saw that.
guys.
Um, yeah, I actually think that both of you are probably right to some capacity. I know for a fact that like Mark and Ryan in particular have both said like the less you know about the movie, the better it's going to be. Which means I've already screwed myself in that regard. But
didn't Adam Driver also say, I want people to go into this movie without knowing anything?
Yes.
yeah, he absolutely said that. He said that he would prefer no one to watch a trailer.
And but everybody else is silent on that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the more creative type people, I think, are really just wanting people to come in with like fresh eyes. So I really do think the delay has been a good chunk of just not trying to overload the media with information about Star Wars. Like obviously we got the Vanity Fair and the Entertainment Weekly stuff, and so uh, we do have some information out there, but I really do feel like they're trying to keep a lot more mum on this. And yeah, I do think it probably has a lot to do with the fact of they just aren't really quite sure how to put out a trailer without giving away plot points.
Even people from other podcasts that have connections, anyone who knows anything has been removed from those specific podcasts. So it's just like, wow, there is
Okay,
some shit going down and things are going to change.
I do hope that they hold back enough that everybody kind of walks into The Last Jedi going, what is this? You know, I will be totally okay if on December, or not December, on October 9th, the preview is porgs. It's just porgs the entire time.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing is I'm just really I feel like they're either going to go like really dramatic with it and either try to play up the whole like Luke destroying the Jedi mindset that we got from the teaser trailer, or they're just going to do something completely off the wall nonsensical, where it's just like Chewie hanging out with the Porgs, the Porg chilling on R2, something like that, like another teaser basically.
Yeah. Okay.
I would not be surprised if The Last Jedi actually did not have an official like trailer, and instead the TV spots were just teasers.
I think
Yeah.
they have
Okay.
for the international market.
I mean, I'm going to be international for when this drops, but so all of us were at Star Wars Celebration. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And all of us were in the room for the Last Jedi panel.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Um, I, and I might have said this before, and feel free to say yes, you did. When they played the trailer initially, I heard leave, just breathe, not breathe, just breathe from what Luke was saying. And I sat back and was like, wait, why is he telling Rey to leave? Why is he saying that? And it's like, I don't know if it was 2 days of no sleep, if it was like, I am just on adrenaline and coffee, but that was what I heard him saying originally was leave, just leave, and then breathe later. Um, and you know what? I would be okay with Luke telling Rey to leave. I sat
Yeah.
back and was like, I'm entirely okay with Luke saying that, and then I'm entirely okay with Luke trying to guide Rey in this different way. But that was my first reaction of Luke saying, "You can't do this. You do not want to do this."
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate that kind of idea because we do know that he's not really super interested in her being there. He doesn't really want to get involved. Um, so like I can understand why you heard that. And I'm sure if I actually went back and watched the teaser trailer again, uh, within the past week, I could hear that. Um,
I,
I
I've got
am
to.
I'm
I'm going to preface with 2 days, maybe 4 hours of sleep inconsecutive. Like I was sleeping on cold floors. Like I had argued with people about, oh God, I just went to the store. Please, for the love of God, go back to our Airbnb and get me this new costume because you guys all went there and I would really like new underwear.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so that was my take from it. I was like, oh, I like this. I like this. I kind of liked Luke as the old curmudgeon of I don't want to teach you.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I wonder if that's the same like train of thought that they're gonna go with for this trailer, if they're just gonna keep playing up this idea that Luke is not interested in joining the fight, or what they're gonna do. Like maybe, since we've gotten a whole lot of the Jedi storyline so far, maybe the trailer will be predominantly Resistance.
I mean,
I don't know.
I think they have to give us some Finn because they didn't really give us anything with Finn in the first teaser. You got a shot, like a shot of his face in the like in the back to suit. Not really a tank, but you know what I'm talking about. That's all you
Yeah.
Yeah.
get. And being from what John Boyega and everyone has said, he's a big deal in this movie. So I think they would have to show some of Finn and some of Rose.
Rose is on a t-shirt or a sweatshirt that was sold at Target for First Friday of like the 9 spaces that you can have for The Last Jedi. I am really excited to see Rose. I have slight reservations just in general about Rose, but that's just because of what I want her to be. I almost want her to be a double agent, and I want that to be like that's why you befriend Finn. That's why you become important. That's why you're doing all these things. So you can kind of bring information to the First Order of the Resistance and not have it look awkward. Like, oh yes, I am infiltrating the First Order with Finn. I'm not copying these commands into any system whatsoever. And at the same time, I really want Rose to be a nobody. I want Rose to be just somebody who gets swept up in everything.
I'm kind of one of those people who like, I would love for Rose to have like a really intricate kind of plot, but at the same time, like she's pretty much like our first major any sort of Asian character in the Star Wars universe, and I really don't want her to be villainous. Like I just
I
think that sets a bad precedent.
I know,
And
and like we're coming off of Chirrut and Baze and how they are I'm like they're spiritual, both of them in a way. And
yeah,
which is you kind of expect from Asian characters. So I almost want Rose to like have nothing to do with it. And at the same
yeah.
time I want her to have such a big part where something happens. And Paige, her sister, is going to have a big part because she has a name and has books about her. Well, they're making the Squadron book, and Paige is going to be mentioned, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cobalt Squadron. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so excited, but at the same time, I really would like to hold on to this like Rose is still.
I really think that if we are getting a double agent of any sort, it's going to be Benicio del Toro.
Yes, I agree.
I really think he's the only option to be a double agent of any sort.
I
Which,
don't know.
speaking of, didn't someone translate the Orabesh on his Funko Pop to
Yeah.
where his
Oh
hat
yeah,
says "Don't join"?
Yes.
yeah. I don't know. Like as much as I'm like, oh, DJ would be or Benicio del Toro's character would be great. I think I had like a moment the other day as I was like riding my commuter train to work. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if Poe was a double agent?
That would be a
And
lot.
like, yeah, because then it's like, well, we have to hide it from Kylo because Kylo knows everything and Kylo broadcasts everything through the Force. But that would be a really good way to hide it. It's like you have to get tortured by this like super Sith, not Sith Lord, super dark sider Jedi. Have fun, but it would kind of explain why he gets into a TIE fighter and is like, I got this, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he also completely like screwed up in trying to fly said Tie Fighter.
Yeah, but that was also attached. So like
Yeah.
imagine if you know you're a double agent and you're like, yeah, this TIE fighter. I'm gonna take it. And then the stormtrooper's like, oh, you mean this one looks like a bay over? That one? Okay. Oh shit.
Yeah, gosh, I feel like I'm kind of the Debbie Downer in the situation, but I really don't want any of the established like resistance heroes to be double agents or bad dudes or anything of the sort. Like
And
if someone's gonna be dark, I want it to be Luke or Ray.
that's
And
totally
if
valid.
someone's yeah.
Like I'm sitting here like, it'd be really great. And I'm sitting here like with the headcanons and everything, but it makes more sense for Luke or Ray. It like narratively it makes more sense for them, but I'm just like sitting here going, well, if we were to do this thing, Luke is
Or
spell.
if Holdo is like talking with the First Order more than she's suggesting. Like, I can accept that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, if there's going to be any like major side switching, I want it to be Kylo Ren. So it's I don't want to be playing. You know that like little puzzle, like that little brain teaser thing where it's like
Oh, Rubik's Cube.
a farmer has a chicken and a fox, and he comes to
Oh,
a
yes.
river, and he can only take these things across at one time, and
Yes.
whatnot. Like, I don't want it to be like, well, here's a good person going bad and a bad person going good. Here's this
All I
person we
can
thought was this and this and this and this, and it just being like someone lacing their shoes.
And just a quick side note, we do not have a Snoke segment this week. With all of the multitude of Reddit leaks that have come out, we're keeping that on not so much under wraps, but in the can until next episode, and we'll dedicate an entire episode to discussing all of the Reddit leaks that have come out and whether or not we think that they're crap or if they could actually happen.
That concludes this episode of the Council of the Whills. You can email us at councilofthewhills with an H after the W at gmail.com or find us on Tumblr.
Thank you for listening, and have a good evening.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.